Good morning. This is where I spent the night. Black Mesa Winery. Very nice, very quiet. Here, right next to the Rio Grande. Alright, let's go towards Taos. It should be a pretty drive. By the way, I have no idea where we're gonna stay today, but I'm sure something will come up. It always does. And here we are, Taos. I'm going to check out this Taos Valley RV park, see if they have vacancy. It is very well located.
I'm riding in my RV, wherever I want to be, 'cause I'm free in my RV, yeah.
Check-in is not until 1, but he said that, check-out is at 11, so if I show up around that time, he'll probably get me in. So that's what I'm gonna do.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into Walmart, get some supplies, kill some time, maybe get some editing done, and then we'll check into the park, unhitch, and explore the town a little bit. The RV park, by the way, just 1.5 miles from Walmart. And here we are. I went in to check, and lo and behold, they do have a few sites available. At about $45 after taxes, it could be considered a little expensive, but we are in an incredibly touristy area, and considering the early check-in, I don't think it is a bad deal at all. Let's see if I can find my site so we can go explore. The most important thing to see here is Taos Pueblo, so that's where we're going first. I like how everything is built in the adobe style, also called Pueblo Revival, even the McDonald's. The downtown historic district here very congested, so come with plenty of time and patience. Here we are. The entrance fee is $16 for adults, and it can be paid at the building across the street from the entrance, and they give you a map. But I don't see anybody making sure you have paid as you enter the pueblo, so I guess it works on the honor system. Taos Pueblo has been designated a historical landmark and UNESCO World Heritage Site. Here's the St Jerome Chapel, a Catholic church built in 1850. It was named after the patron saint of Taos Pueblo. Unfortunately, photography is not allowed inside because of its sacred significance. Actually, in general, the Taos people are not very fond of photography. Most of them don't like being photographed. And when I asked why, the answer was because of religious beliefs. Gotta respect that.
Very interesting construction style. By the way, I'm sorry I couldn't show you inside, but they don't allow pictures.
Here's the pièce de résistance, the North House, which is like an apartment building of sorts, estimated to be over 1,000 years old. Also impressive and equally old is the South House. By the way, this adobe-style construction, I've learned, is like a constant work in progress, maintaining the adobe plaster. So even though the structure itself might be very, very old, the outside is always brand new. The wooden dry racks are used to dry corn, or meats, or fruits, and most importantly, chili. Each of these doors is a separate, privately owned home. And I was able to see one of them inside, actually. A very nice gentleman with lots of knowledge about the history, but you're gonna have to take my word for it because my camera was not welcome indoors. Humans are not allowed in the water, it being the town's water source, but I guess dogs are okay. You know you are in New Mexico when there are chili peppers drying outside your home, right? The beehive-shaped adobe mounds are actually ovens. I try to get lost along the streets of the Pueblo and all the small shops. Although many streets have no trespassing signs, preventing you from visiting the areas where the residents actually live. This is one of those signs telling you where not to go. This here is the cemetery and the ruins of the old St Jerome Church, built in 1619 by Spanish missionaries, destroyed in the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, rebuilt in 1706, only to be bombarded in 1847 by the US Army during the Mexican-American War. Only the bell tower remains. Very cool, this adobe architecture with the exposed beams and basically mud on the outside. It is time to go. And that's pretty much it from Taos Pueblo here. Unfortunately, they don't allow photography almost anywhere indoors, so I couldn't show you like the church or inside some of the shops, and they even had a, you know, a house that you could step into and see. I'm really impressed by the construction, you know. And this is where they make the fry bread and the cookies and all that. World Heritage. One thing I've noticed here in Taos, everybody very friendly. All the residents, so very nice. And I wish I was hungry because I wanted to try some of that fry bread, but another time perhaps. I've been reliably informed that another one of the main things to see here in this area is the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge. So let's check it out. This is the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge. Oh, wow. What is that? Is that a car wreck? Or could it be considered art? Well, lo and behold, it is raining. Quite impressive, actually. This would have been a perfect place to fly the drone, which I forgot to bring. But I'll be back. I'll be back later today. Alright, I have a live stream to make, so let's go to the brewery. Yes, brewery. You heard correctly. I don't know if you noticed the date at the beginning of the episode, but we are here on a Friday. And what happens on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern? Well, I do a live stream, and that would be 4 p.m. Mountain Time here, right about now. And since I usually consume an adult beverage during the live stream, a brewery seems most appropriate. They have free Wi-Fi too. Here we are, Taos Mesa Brewing Company. Hello everybody, coming to you live today from Taos, New Mexico. Happy Friday everybody, and welcome to another RV live chat here. It's been great chatting with you all today. Actually it's 4:38 p.m. here. Anyways, I am not gonna sing because there's a bunch of people here and they're gonna think I'm weird. I'm sure they already think I'm weird by talking to my phone, so... Well, I just finished my live stream here from the Taos Mesa Brewery. I think it came out pretty good. And, well, this is the view. There's still some snow up on that mountain. But that was cool. Yes, aside from a few bandwidth issues, I'd say that was a pretty successful broadcast. Amazing that nowadays we can have an interactive live television show just using our phone. I'm telling you, this is sci-fi. We are living in the future. Actually, it reminds me of Back to the Future.
A portable television studio.
Where are we going down this dirt road, you might ask? I've got two words for you. Hot Springs. This one is called Black Rock Hot Springs and it comes highly recommended. There's also another one called Manby Hot Springs. I saw the Wings go to that one once, back in the day when the Wings were RVers. We are about to cross the Rio Grande here, going over the Juntang Bridge, in this area which is called Arroyo Hondo. The bridge was built by one John Donne back in 1908 in order to bring guests and livestock to his hotel, which was around here. Black Rock Hot Springs here seems to be pretty accessible, just a short hike from the parking lot. Well, here I am attempting to use the GoPro's hyperlapse feature, although I must admit, it's not coming out as smooth as I was expecting. Oops, made a wrong turn.
Apparently, it's flooded.
Well, yes, apparently the water level on the Rio Grande is too high, so what would have been pools of warm water are completely submerged.
Well, Scott at the winery said it yesterday that the springs might be flooded. Apparently it's been an unusually rainy year, and that's why I'm gonna try the other hot springs, see if they're viable. Although I'm gonna check for flight restrictions because I might be able to fly the drone here. In any case, it was a nice little hike. Got the blood flowing, the heart pumping.
No point in going to the other hot springs because they will probably be the same. The very least I can do is fly the drone. Yes, I went back to the RV on my way here and picked it up.
I mean, it may not be Angel's Landing, but still, not for the faint of heart.
On the way back, I'm going to go up those switchbacks just to take a different route and see some different things. And this is the reason why you buy a truck, besides towing, so you can explore places like this. A little off the beaten path. I mean, in theory, you could do this with your Geo Metro, but I would not advise that. And we're back on the top of the Mesa, and we've got some menacing clouds lurking over the horizon. Approaching the US 64 junction here, I may have accidentally discovered this cool boondocking spot.
That's beautiful. By the way, this seems to be BLM land. Let me show you. You see my tonneau cover is shifting? This is the same thing that happened back in Death Valley.
Let's continue. Not far from here, there's a very peculiar off-grid community called Earthship Biotexture, consisting of almost completely self-sustainable dwellings built out of recycled materials, tires, bottles, but there is a no trespassing sign. There's gotta be another way to see it up close. They have indoor greenhouses, they collect rainwater which they recycle in many different ways, and wind or solar energy. Oh, it looks like they have a visitor center. Let me tell you something, this is really cool. I kind of like the concept of off-grid living. That's why I would love to eventually upgrade my RV to be the ultimate boondocking machine. Because I love boondocking and being off-grid when possible. But these people are really hardcore. Apparently they use the gray water to water the plants and flush the toilets. The black water is processed for composting. Unfortunately, the visitor center is closed at this time of the day, so we're gonna have to revisit some other time. Now, there's one more thing to do today, while there's still a little bit of daylight left. Let's go to the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge and fly the drone. Here we are, approaching the bridge from the other side, from the west. And on this side of the river they have a rest area with picnic tables and a larger parking lot, shelters. It is kind of hard to fathom how, over the years, a river can carve such a deep crevice in an otherwise relatively flat area. I was really tempted to fly the drone under the bridge, but I chickened out. We can always explore a little more by foot. You think it might rain? Uh-oh, the aliens are coming.
It just occurred to me that after all this, we never actually visited the town of Taos. I might stop by real quick.
Here we are by the plaza, which I'm thinking is perhaps more of a daytime attraction because there doesn't seem to be a whole lot going on right now. Tell you what, we're going to return tomorrow morning. There's supposed to be a farmers market in the morning and I don't have to check out until 11, so good night for now. And good morning.
I'm gonna pass by the post office real quick to mail some CDs and stickers. And then I'm gonna go by the plaza because apparently they're having some kind of farmers market today. And then off we go.
Yep, this is my routine. At least once a week, I come to the post office to mail something. The church behind the construction site here is the San Francisco de Asis Mission, built between 1772 and 1816 when New Mexico was still part of the Viceroyalty of New Spain. It is supposed to be one of the finest surviving examples of a Spanish colonial New Mexico mission church. Let's continue.
I'm just gonna go to the plaza because time is running out.
Continue on New Mexico 68 North for 4 miles.
Here we are, back at the plaza. Much more livelier than last night. In fact, they even have some streets closed. I'm thinking parking might even be an issue. Let's go around the block and see if we can find where to park. I am meeting a nomadic couple today who happens to be in the area. Fellow RVers, YouTubers, and Instagram influencers, power couple critics. Here we go. This is where I'm going to park, just a couple of blocks away from the plaza.
All right, right here on my last hour in Taos.
Literally.
Literally. I ran into Kristen and Manny, power couple critics.
Hi
here on
guys.
YouTube. So we're gonna explore the plaza a little bit. They're having like a farmer's market.
Yeah, very nice market and great ambience, lots of stuff. Definitely much more livelier than last night. Lots and lots of local produce and live music. Yeah, I gotta have live music. They have a veterans memorial here too. Let's continue. These are the John Donne house shops here. Still kind of early for them. You all know how impeccable my timing is sometimes, catching some of these places when there's no one here. It is too early for this, so let's go back to the plaza. By the way, this is supposed to be a really good chocolate shop.
unfortunately, time's up.
Here's the iconic mural called the Santero by late Taos painter and musician George Chacon. Taos here, very unique town. I hope to return one of these days, but right now, Colorado is calling.
By the way, free parking. What a concept, huh? Well, now for real, time's up.
On the road again, but before leaving, I am going to have breakfast. Well, early lunch, really, at a restaurant just around the corner. Well, actually, it is a couple of blocks away.
I'm gonna try this Guadalajara grill, recommended by Manny and Christian. I'm glad I ordered a small one. Look at this thing. And there's Mini Tini. Well, that was delicious. Oh look, I forgot to turn off my patio light. On the road again. It's gonna be a pretty long drive today.
The goal today is to make it all the way to Durango, Colorado. Spend a couple of nights there, catch up with some work, and then do the $1 Million Highway. Here we are, driving once again on the Rio Grande Gorge Bridge, this time with Mini Tini the trailer in tow. Once again, we passed by the Earthship Community, and I'm really tempted to stop, but I'm on a mission here. We've got about 200 miles ahead of us, a little over 4 hours according to Google, but you know it's going to take at least 6, right? Because let's face it, I'm gonna take it slow, and it is going to be a scenic drive, so I'm gonna wanna stop a couple of times along the way. So just sit back, relax, buckle up, and enjoy the ride. Alright, it's been a little over an hour and we've been gaining elevation almost non-stop, so both the Colorado and myself deserve a break.
Oh wow.
Isn't that like the most awesome boondocking spot ever? I'm definitely marking it on my map.
Well, fabulous spot here, 10,000 feet above sea level. And as I said, it looks like boondocking might be permitted. Oh, we're certainly high in the Rockies. 70 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ooh, another vista point.
Wow, 68 degrees now. By the way, this was an epic view. I hope the drone captured it like my eyes did.
Riding my RV. Riding my RV. Riding my RV.
Well, I think we ought to save something for the next episode, don't you think? As we cross the Colorado state line here, because on the next one we are going to explore a little bit of southwestern Colorado, and that will include Durango. Then we are going to drive to Silverton. We're going to take the $1 Million Highway to Ouray, lovely town. Then west. Sorry to say we're going to skip Telluride as we make our way towards Utah, and one of my all-time bucket list boondocking locations. Stay tuned.
I'm riding in